What's up, everybody? So today I'm going to have my Saturday Q&A questions, but I decided to do it outside today. It's pretty nice out here. It's a little chilly. I know we went from extreme weather to a little bit of spring. Now we back into coldness. But today I'm just going to do my Q&A from outside. I'm actually at the dog park with the young pup. Well, honestly, he ain't young anymore. But with my dog Trooper. As you can see, he's kind of walking around over there. But I still want to get my questions in, man. I had a few questions come in this week from a few people that saw the live last week, and I do have the questions. So what I decided to do was just copy the questions and then actually just read them out here because I'm not in front of my desktop where I'm usually at. But I just decided to get out this morning, so I'm just going to enjoy this weather and do it from out here. So y'all could just bear with me just a little bit. But it was some great questions, man. I'm gonna go ahead and get it started so I can get back to entertaining my dog over there before he starts putting holes all through the daggone dog park. All right, so first question came from Derek H. in Clarksville. If a home has been sitting for a while, is that a red flag or an opportunity? Man, Derek, that's a great question that a lot of people wonder about. Honestly, that's a question that everybody wonders about. And usually, in my opinion, it's an opportunity, but only if you understand why it's sitting. Now, most homes don't sit because something is wrong with them, right? They sit because they're overpriced, usually poorly marketed, or just hit the market at the wrong time. So buyers, they see these days on the market and assume there's an issue, but that assumption is where, the leverage comes in for you as a buyer, if you're a buyer. Now here's the flip side to that, right? Sometimes it is a red flag. If the homes have been under contract multiple times and it keeps falling out, or the condition doesn't match the price even after the reductions, then yeah, you slow down and ask more questions about that house. Why is it still on the market? But in today's market, time on market creates a little bit of pressure, and pressure creates that flexibility for you. Prices drop, sellers' concessions start to build up, and then you sometimes get repair credits. So that's a great question, and the key is not avoiding those homes that have been sitting for a long time. The key is just investigating, them better than anyone else to find out what's really going on. And that's where the deals usually fall in that for you. Good question, Derek. I appreciate it. Keep sending them in. All right, let's see who else sent a good question. There was a Monica J in Nashville. What's up, Monica? How you doing? Her questions were, are open houses still effective, or are they just for show? Now, that's actually a question for potential buyers and for real estate agents. The answer, in my opinion, is yeah, they're still effective, but not for the reason most people think, right? Open houses aren't just about selling. It's not about selling the house right then and there. It's about creating exposure and some type of urgency for the buyer, or for the seller, I'm sorry. Buyers who are early in their process, they just walk in, they always say they just look in, and that's when the interest starts to build up. So if you're a real estate agent, don't look at it as you're going in there to sell that house today. It'd be great if you do, but those that come in and just say they're just browsing and just looking, use that as an opportunity. Now for the sellers, it's all about activity, you know what I'm saying? Sellers want to see activity, which creates some type of perception, right? So a quiet listing, it just feels stale. It feels like nothing is going on. But a busy one, sometimes it feels a little bit more competitive. So yeah, open houses, they still matter. But it's not a magic bullet or anything like that where it's going to automatically bring the best results. It's one of those things that when it's done right, it absolutely moves the needle. All right. Damn, it's starting to get a little chilly out here, man. What's up, True? Yeah, people see you. Oh, you're just gonna run away on me, huh? All right. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So here, somebody said bring him on camera. There he is over there. I only have one dog. His name is Trooper. He's a mixed breed. He reminds me when we first got him of Santa's little helper from The Simpsons. So, but I always called him Trooper, man, because he's been through a lot when we picked him up from the shelter. He was estimated to be like 8 months old, and he is going to be 9 this year. So that's our guy right there. So here's another question from Trevor in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. How you doing, Trevor? His question is, what's one thing buyers should have ready before they even start looking seriously? Man, that question right there is a great question. In my opinion, I've been pumping this past week. It's clarity, not just approval. You got to have clarity. Most buyers focus on getting pre-approved, which is important, but they skip the part where they define what they actually feel comfortable paying monthly for. That's the biggest thing. You got to know what you're comfortable of paying per month. Yes, it's about the interest rates and things like that, but how much you can afford really matters. So there's a difference. There's a difference between what a lender says you can afford and what really fits your lifestyle, right? When buyers don't define that up front, every house becomes a maybe. And that tends to lead to hesitation, overthinking, and honestly, missed opportunities. So just having some type of clarity speeds everything up, in my opinion, and it keeps you from making those emotional decisions. All right, so one quick look. So I'm actually over in the Sango area right now. There's a dog park near my home. So if you're wondering why I'm sitting outside again, well, it's basically because I just brought my dog out. Hopefully y'all can see him. I just brought him out get a little run in there. As you can see, we're the only ones out here, which is cool because I don't feel like all the other riffraff going on. All right, so I'm getting down to the end of this. I got a question from Natalie in Hendersonville, Tennessee. I like Hendersonville. Very, very nice city. Her question was, what mistakes sellers make after they go under contract? Woo! So let me think about that one. Well, okay. I'll tell you about a few that I'm in right now. So, some sellers think that once they're under contract, everything is done and everything is all peachy, and all we gotta wait is those 30 to 45 days to go to closing. And honestly, that's not even close to the end goal. Going under contract just means that you really just enter the most critical phase, right? In my opinion, it's the inspections, the appraisals, financing. This is where the deals either stay together or what we call fall out of line or fall apart. And so you really got to stay on top of the deal, even if you are the listing agent or the sellers, because yes, we got it under contract, like I said, but at the end of the day, we got to make sure that the buyers are doing what they need to do. So that's why me as a listing agent, I will have to stay in constant communication with the buyer's agent just to make sure that they're doing what they need to do. Hold on one second. Come here, Troop. Come on. Say what's up to the folks. All right. I'll forget you too. All right. Anyways, so sellers who, in this situation, who win, they stay flexible and responsive. They understand that negotiations may come up. Between that 30 day from going under contract until closing, there's always going to be some type of negotiations, always something that you're going to have to do. You got to make sure that the utilities stay on. I've had sellers, as soon as they get under contract, they turn the utilities off. Well, you got to pay that fee to turn it right back on, because they have the utilities on for the inspections, right? So it just doesn't stop right there. Sellers who lose the deal, they get rigid, they take things personally, or they just stop cooperating. But you can't do that. Everybody has a different feel of what a home is to them. I have another seller that wants to keep the wallpaper up in their bathroom, and I'm like, hey, we're not selling this house for you, we're selling it for the buyers. So we want to make this as neutral as possible, and we had to go through a few ups and downs with the conversations and things like that. But I finally got them to understand that everybody doesn't like this yellow and green wallpaper in the powder bathroom. It's going to hurt your sales or have that people come through. So we want to make sure we do things right. So in other words, the contract is just the beginning of the finish line, not the finish line itself. Hopefully that helped out. And that was a good question. Natalie, I appreciate it. I got another one from Kevin in Springfield, Tennessee. Kevin's question was, what's something people say they want but their actions don't match? Wow. Okay. So let me think about that. Here's one. So everybody wants the best results, obviously, the better finances, a home, a business, but very few people stick to the simple routines long enough to see it through. And that comes with life overall, just not in a real estate deal. It's not about doing something, in my opinion, big just one time. It's also about doing something small repeatedly without losing focus. And that's the grunt part of things. People got to stay focused when they're going through new routines or trying to get things done, like buying a house and so on and so forth. Most people just don't want to fail because they can't do it. Well, that's not true. They usually fail because they didn't stay with it, you know? So you gotta stay with it. If your goal is to buy a home this year, stick with the process. Follow what your real estate agent is telling you. Follow what your lender is telling you. Do not go off the cuff. Do what they're telling you. Because you got to think, as professionals, we've gone through this multiple times. We're here to help you make sure you get to that finish line. But you got to stick with those things. Good question. Appreciate that. All right. I got one more question here, and I'm going to wrap it up myself because it's getting a little nippy out here. I'm starting to do a little bit of sniffles. I appreciate everybody that has tuned in. My dog is starting to wild out over here as well. Here's a good question. How do you stay focused when there's so much noise and distraction right now? Man, that's a tough question. I mean, if anybody else can chime in with that one, please help. But in my opinion, I think I've answered something like this before. You try to stop trying to consume everything. You can't do everything. Too much information sometimes creates hesitation. People are watching, they're reading certain things, they're scrolling, obviously, but they're really not acting on certain things. You know what I'm saying? People moving forward right now, in my opinion, and me even as well, are the ones who filter through things aggressively. Less input and more execution. You just got to do that right now. I mean, that's just how the world is moving. So that's what I can give. Anybody else can answer that question, please put it down in the comments, because I think that'll help out a lot of people. You don't really need more opinions in my case. You just need a clear path. And you really got to have discipline. So in other words, clarity and discipline. Clarity and discipline. All right, so that's it, man. I'm going to wrap this up for right now. I'll catch y'all on the next Saturday. And it was good seeing everybody.